Any Lions fans out there that were very disappointed that Detroit lost, or Goff fans, I should say?
Definitely a shocker.
Oh, horrible.
Definitely a shocker. Weird week.
Yeah. No Dallas, no music. Sorry. I got to figure out how to do the music stuff and all that.
Just sing for us, Darren.
Huh?
Just sing for us.
Yeah. I actually did. So I don't know if you guys know this. When I was like 27-ish, around there, I worked for Carnival Cruise Lines about a year or so. And I was an assistant cruise director, which was a blast. Because I was single.
I always look at that position. I'm like, that would be so fun. That's incredible.
It was amazing. But part of my gig was I helped with the shows and all that kind of stuff and backstage. But I got to once a week, maybe twice a week ish, I would get to sing with a live band behind me, like Frank Sinatra, Harry Connick Jr., stuff like that. It was.
You sing?
I sing okay, yeah.
So you should just be the music.
Yeah. But anyway. All right. You guys ready? Let's get started. So welcome. Happy workshop for our January meeting. We're going to be doing this, as you guys know, and we've talked about at the buy-sell meeting. We're going to do our buy-sell meeting. The following week, we are going to do a workshop where we'll have a guest speaker. We'll talk about what's going on in the market, good things, bad things, whatever. And it's all just so you guys can, listen, pick someone's brain, get some good ideas, some good takeaways, that kind of thing. So today, I was thinking about this last week, and as we were talking about social media and marketing and getting business, how we really need to dive into that to get more business. And the first person that popped to my mind on this was Maria DeSalvo. And Maria's been, as you guys know, she's new in the industry. She's been here, 3 years, I think you've been a real estate agent?
Yeah, I got my license in early January of 2022. So
okay,
years.
And she's, for all intents and purposes, things that are going on in the market right now, she's doing a great job. And I think, me personally, what I've seen with her is just how she's really grabbed and taken in the social media part, the marketing part, what you need to do to get out there. I see her all the time on social media. So I wanted her to talk to us and just fill us in on how she's doing it, what she's doing, what's working for her, what's not working. Just kind of pick her brain and let her tell us her story. So, but first, Maria. So you've been doing this 3 years. Why? Why did you get into real estate?
I wish it was more profound, but it was really so simple as one day I was sitting on the beach with my fiance, and out of nowhere he was just like, have you ever thought about getting into real estate? You have so many relatives in it. As a lot of people know my Uncle George. I also have an uncle who started Red Oak Realty in the East Bay. My grandma was in real estate. My great grandma was in real estate. I have cousins in real estate, and I had never thought about it. I was like, I didn't even know that was an option. And 2 weeks after we had that conversation, my cousin Mike Milano reached out to me and he said, hey, I'm looking for an assistant. Do you know of anybody? And at that point I was doing, I had like 5 different jobs, was just doing a lot of freelancing stuff. And I was like, I don't want to be your assistant, but I'll help you find one. And so I helped him find one. And then I kind of started just observing what he was doing. And it took a few months and I was like, okay, I could do that. And real estate offered this umbrella for me that all of the things I was doing before I could do under that. So I was coaching people in personal branding. I had also launched my own magazine that I was publishing that was really fueled, big COVID passion project that I wasn't really getting much out of. I was kind of just getting burnt out and just doing a lot of freelancing things for other creators. So I thought, okay, this is something that is legitimate. Real estate's the most tangible thing out there. I can use all of the marketing skills that I've learned to market myself, and I still get to have that creativity within the branding. And I love being social. I love talking to people.
Where's your library?
Okay, hang on.
Here, please.
So that was kind of like, okay, this is this umbrella that I can really do all of the things that I enjoy while also learning. I was 26 when I got my license. I'm 29 now. I'll be 30 in July. It's people that are my age now that are like just starting to learn about buying homes. How can we generate and create our own wealth? So it was also a way for me to learn how to actively do that.
Are you happy?
I am happy. I love it. I mean, I love the flexibility of it. And of course, that comes with a lot of uncertainty. I mean, I made nothing my first year. My second year, I did 2 million in sales. And then my third year, I did 10 million. And I think my biggest success last year was being able to pay off my credit card bill in full every month.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's the thing that a lot of people don't talk about when you first get into this industry, because a lot of people, this is their second or third career, and they're like, oh, you just put everything back into your business. I'm like, right, but I have to pay rent. I have to do this. I have to do that. So there's not honestly a ton of great financial advice out there that I got from people. When I was talking to them, I was like, how do you do this? And it's different for everybody. Everybody figures out their own way to make it happen, because as we know, real estate it's a pay to play industry. Like, you've got to put a lot out there to be in this industry, and you also have to get in the red before you get in the green. So when I got to that point where I actually had a cushion, like last year, I was lucky and I had 4 deals closed in January and February, and that was the first time I felt like I could take a deep breath of like, oh my God, okay, it's gonna be okay. But it's a ride that I would happily be on versus going to a 9 to 5 every day and having somebody else dictate my schedule. Because I did that and I lasted 8 months in corporate and I hated it.
Yeah, I've been there, believe me.
Yeah.
And it's true. People say like, and Megan and I talked about this. We all work to retire and to go on vacation and do all that kind of stuff. But I think, I'm in the mortgage business. Obviously, Megan's a real estate agent. I think we'll always work, even when we're quote unquote retired, because one thing that we've noticed is everyone in this industry, what we're doing here, everyone on this call, pretty much we can work. If you could kind of call it semi-retired, because we could still go on vacation whenever we want, wherever we want, and still work.
Yeah.
We can take our computers. I've been in this business 27 years, whatever, and I don't remember the last time I went on a vacation where I've never had my laptop, my phone, and I'm working. It just doesn't happen. But I'll trade that to be able to quote unquote go where I want when I want now, and when I'm 70, not just when I'm 70, right?
Right.
So it's true. It's absolutely true. So social media,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. What are you diving into mostly with social media?
Instagram has always been kind of my tried and true, and I think that's just because where I have the most connections. And Facebook. I mean, that's my generation. That's just how we all connected. The last deal that I did was with somebody that I hadn't spoken to in over 20 years. I grew up playing tennis with her brother. I didn't really even talk to her that much. And I was like, I really appreciate you reaching out, but how did you even know to reach out to me? And she's like, oh, we're Facebook friends. So
See?
I'm like,
That's
oh, yeah,
awesome.
I have 2,000 friends on Facebook. And so, everything I post on Instagram just goes to Facebook. So that's kind of easy. But that's where I've been able to develop a lot of connection. So that works for me. And a lot of the times, even if people are just looking at your stories, they might not be liking them or they might not be interacting with them, they're still watching them. And whenever I go out and about, I was born and raised here, so we're in small, we all know that. You run into people and people say, oh my God, I see your Instagram all the time. I didn't know you were doing real estate, or they love my real estate content. So it works. People see it. So for me, that's where I put my energy into. But I also think it's important to not be too rigid with it, because then you start to hate it. And I go through periods of not posting, and then I'll feel really inspired and I'll post a lot and I'll interact a lot. Aside from real estate things too, it's just all about kind of building that connection. So that's where I put most of my energy into. But I think it also wavers, and you also have to mix in actual face-to-face networking with that too. But talking to somebody on there, that I sold somebody that I went to college with, they called me over the summer and they had bought a house in Novato a year prior with somebody else, and they wanted to move to San Anselmo. And they called me and they said, we want to sell our house and we want to buy this house with you. Great. All because they had seen me posting, broker tours. They'd seen me posting stuff on Instagram, so they knew that I'm in the industry.
See, that's big. So
Yeah.
big.
Like Instagram stories, the way to think about it is that is your 24-hour billboard. Like anything that you want to put on a billboard, you put it on your story, and people are going to see it, and it's going to cycle, and then it'll expire. But I think that's one of the best things that I learned and that I taught when I was teaching people how to create their personal brands.
So on that note, real quick, and I was going to ask this the very last question, but I'm going to ask it now since you brought up the word billboard.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have a billboard, say on 101 going up to Roanoke Park, Santa Rosa, wherever, and it's side of the highway, it could say anything you wanted it to say, what would you say on your billboard?
Like I'm up, there's a picture of me with it.
Yeah, or it doesn't have to be. It could it's just what would you want people to know?
I mean, I think right now, I think I just wanted to say like, be kind. But if it was like a business one, my tagline's like modern solutions, timeless service. So I think, I don't know. I think being kind is important. That's one thing that
So
everybody.
I think that's what you would put then. If that's the first
Yeah.
thing that kind of popped in your head. Then,
That's the first thing that popped in my head. If I'm putting an ad in a magazine or something, it would be my tagline. But actually,
are you still doing ads in magazines and marketing out there on other stuff?
no, I've done, I think if you do it, great, but that's something that you have to have the money to continuously do or it's not going to work. I did mailers my first year, and you know, social media, you can track the analytics. I can't track how many of my postcards are getting dumped in the recycling bin. I can track how many people are looking at my stories or looking at my posts, and it's going to be a hell of a lot more than people looking in their mailbox. If I had the budget to just freely do a magazine ad every month, I would, but I'm not there yet.
What do you see some of the the veteran realtors doing that you would want to do? That's a goal of yours. That the veteran realtors that are doing, 30, 40 plus million a year are doing what
I think
that you're not doing, I guess.
yeah, well, I've recently started working on Eric Gelman's team, and he sponsors a lot of stuff for San Anselmo. So I think having a more like um, impactful voice in a community like that is great, and not a lot of people do it, but he gets a lot of recognition because he does that. But that's a lot of money every year. And I think that not a lot of people do that. A lot of other veteran agents, everybody's got their ad in the Marin magazine or the Marin Living magazine, and it's always like 20 pages of just realtors, which
Yeah,
is great, but I think more realtors look at it than anybody else.
that's a really good point. It really is. So how do you counteract that? What do you do instead of doing Marin magazine? Go back to social media, do more on social media. Do you do paid ads and stuff like that on social?
I have a couple of times, and I've gotten like a couple of followers from it, but it's also because I tried to do it for my first time homebuyer classes. But then whenever you do something around housing, you can't target it as specifically as you want to.
So I just want to hear this.
Hold on.
So I've done it a couple times. That was kind of one of the things I wanted to dive more into this year. But like in October, November, and December, I did hire somebody to help me with my marketing, just to post blogs on my website and do all of the little things I didn't want to do. And now, like this month, business is slower, so those are things that I can do, and I've reallocated that part of my budget to networking events. So I've put more money into that. So yeah, Instagram paid ads I think are great, or if you do them, I haven't done them a whole lot. And I also know they changed it to where they've added like an extra fee onto it. I don't know how to explain that correctly, but they added some sort of extra fee. So it hasn't been something that I've dove deeply into.
So you hired someone to help you with some of your social media, things like that. That's what you're saying? Marketing?
Yeah,
How long did it take you to get to that point?
Well, that was in October, so 2.5 years. I was paying.
You wish you would have done it sooner?
No, because it was something that I could do. I think I just got to the point where I was like, okay, this is something that I have. I have the money that I've put away for it. How much more can I get done? And I had her, come on broker tour with me and film some stuff. And really, it was just me like using ChatGPT to write the blogs and then having her draft them up there so then I can easily schedule it into my newsletter. And then I was having her repurpose it to Facebook and LinkedIn. And then I posted to Instagram. Those are all things that I'm capable of doing. They're just tedious and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But when I'm in a slow season where I don't really have the business right now, I've got people in the pipeline, but nobody's jumping right now. I've got the time to do it.
So my take on that is not that it matters and not that you asked, but I always try to, regardless if I have the time to do it or not, the tedious stuff, I'll continue to fork out the money to have that done because it's one of those things I just try to stay in a routine and it works for me. Yes, I have the time to actually post that, but I'm going to have my VA do it. So maybe I will spend that extra, literally maybe 10 minutes, making 4 phone calls or something like that. And for me, that's worked. I have a sheet. I don't know where it is. I think it's on my desk but I have a sheet that I fill out every week of, how many posts were done from the VA and how many calls I made that day, how many people I talked to that day. And it's one of those things. It's greatness tracker. And I could go back years and look at it and I'll know what my volume is based on that greatness tracker. If it's full, then I've had great months. If it's half full, then it doesn't work. So I've always found for me, it's like, no matter what, stay in the routine and it pays off in the long run. But again, it's just, so that's worked for me. So, hold on a second. We got a couple chats here. By the way, guys, if you want to ask questions, you can put yourself. Oh, Alex Curley is trying to get in. Ask questions if you want, or you could go off mute. Bear with me a second. I got to try to let someone in. Or is Alex on? Oh, Alex is on. Okay.
I'm on.
Gotcha. So anyway, so that's just my 2 cents on that, for whatever it's worth. So someone coming in, here's what I will say. Like, you did it right. And I always go back to, because I remember when you first came in 3 years ago, at one point you were talking to Megan, and I was hoping that you and Megan would work something out and you could work together, and it didn't work out. But you did it right. If you have someone that just came in within the last 6 months or a year, what advice would you give them regarding, it could be marketing, it could be about working with a teammate, working with, whatever. What would you say?
Well, I think it depends on what your long-term goals are, because I think you kind of, the thing about real estate is there's no right way to do it. There's just whatever is right for you. And for me, I knew that I didn't want to be somebody's assistant. I've been somebody's assistant plenty of times, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So, it did take me, because when I was talking to Megan, I had jumped around. It took me a while to land at my first brokerage, which was Golden Gate Sotheby's. I didn't land there until April. So from January to April, I was like, what am I doing? I'm trying to latch onto somebody. And as everybody knows, it's hard to mentor somebody because you're trying to do your own thing too. It's a really hard balancing act. So I was really lucky that Dina Stathis, who I've known since I was 4, she took me under her wing and brought me into Golden Gate Sotheby's, and I was learning with her. And then I started doing open houses for other people in the office, and then I was learning from them. So I kind of had a variety of mentors. And then I got asked to be on one team that blew up in smoke, and I was crying in my manager's office every week, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Why did they ask me this? I don't understand. There's no communication. I'm so lost. And it just ended up being like my manager saying to me, you know what? You don't need to be on a team. You don't need to have a mentorship agreement. I will be your mentor. Anything you need, you come to me. So I think in terms of if you're really early getting started and you're trying to find a brokerage, whenever I have those conversations with people, I always say, go to whoever, like whatever manager you have the best relationship with, go there, because they're the ones that are going to help you the most. And you can either be somebody's assistant for a year, or you can spend a year building your own business. And in a year from then, where are you going to be versus if you're still just somebody's assistant? So again, a lot of people have different needs. If somebody has kids and they need that somewhat of a steady paycheck, that might be a better route for you. But that's what I did. And the first year, I was very aware that I didn't know anything. So I talked to as many people as I could. I viewed that first year as getting to know all the players. I had a lot of coffees and a lot of lunches with a lot of agents, a lot of lenders, a lot of title and escrow officers. I got to know who the players of the industry were. And then I started my website, I got my branding app, and I think that gave me a lot more respect a lot faster. Branding. Because I looked more established. I had a website that people could go to. I looked like I'd been in the business longer than I had. I'll also say that, my Uncle George has been in the industry for a very long time, and we have the same last name, and that has definitely helped me. And I've done a social experiment with it plenty of times of introducing myself as Maria and introducing myself as Maria DeSalvo, and I will get a lot more respect. So not everybody has that, but that's something that I've noticed. It's hard to be a new agent. Not a lot of the veteran agents really want anything to do with you unless you have something to offer them a lot of the time. So you have to kind of prove your value and prove your worth, and nobody's just going to give you the business. I think that's a hard thing to hear too. Like, if you're going to be successful in this business, you have to make people know that they can trust you and that you're a credible resource so that they want to work with you. And then when you have that first client, that's when you truly are going to get mentored. When you're like, okay, I got a live one, like, let's run with it. Help me. What can I learn from here? I remember I hadn't even hung my license anywhere, and Megan helped me write an offer for somebody that I was showing her. Honestly, I had no business showing them around. I was like, yeah, write an all cash offer. I don't know. That was horrible. They didn't even end up buying with me, which is great. But I had Megan to help me kind of like advise me, here's how to read a disclosure report. Here's how you write an offer. And the forms change so often now. So I'm not like married to each one of them. So I'm more adaptable than some other people might be. But I think when you're new, you learn something new every single day, which is why I love this industry so much. You don't do the same thing twice. So it's kind of like a long-winded answer of what to do for somebody that's first in the career. But I just say establish yourself as best as you can. Don't try and cling on to one person unless it's going to be a really great arrangement. If you can have a variety of mentors, that's going to be best. Like I did some open houses for the Skull Glassman team, and they let me in on 8 listing appointments with them. That's a very rare thing to get to do. And I just sat there and I would take notes, and I learned a lot from them. And then I learned a lot from a lot of various other agents as well. But I think just learning who you need to know and learning what you need to know so people view you as a valuable resource, then they'll trust you and then they'll want to work with you.
So branding in no particular order, branding, you branded yourself.
Mm-hmm.
From that, you looked professional. You look like, hey, you know what's going on out there, and you got it. You got it going on. And then finally having someone to, because you don't know it all. I mean, even people on this call that have been in the industry for years and years, they don't know it all. You learn something new every day. I see that at home with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Always something every day that you learn. So you're to a point now, you're 3 years in, that some of these people on this call can actually come to you for advice, which is great. So you've earned that, right?
Yeah, like
You've
I
earned
said.
it. So you're there. So it's a little after 10. Questions. Does anybody have any questions out there that you want to throw out there real quick? We have maybe 1 or 2 more minutes and then we'll call it. But I think that, Amanda did ask, one piece for newcomer. We got that one.
Yeah, just say get people to know your name. Go to all of the broker tours, hand out your cards, ask people to get coffee. Like coffees and lunches are so fun to me. That would be how I would fill my day, my weeks. How many coffees do I have this week? How many lunches do I have this week? How many networking events am I going to?
Write it all out and you'll see.
Yeah.
If you guys track all that stuff, you'll see. And I hear there's an amazing meeting every second Tuesday of the month you guys should go to. Most of you guys do go to that.
Yeah, so, I've been going to that ever since I started. I did for a year. I had nothing other than to say, hi, I'm Maria.
That was great.
And that was it. But I got people to know me. And then it was like when I first finally had something to say, it was so exciting.
Well, we're excited to listen to you say things, Maria. So, we really are. Okay. So any final last words of advice you want to give anyone? Because I will tell you right now, I mean, I know there's veterans on this call that are getting something from newcomers, and there are newcomers on this call that are getting something from you as becoming a seasoned realtor. So any final words you want to say, let's put you on the spot, or do you say it all?
No, I would say the one thing, a lot of people will tell you that mindset is everything in this industry. And I think that's something that's very true, and negativity is contagious. And I kind of caught myself getting caught in that cycle of, if you're around negative people and all they're doing is complaining, you're going to be like, yeah, this sucks. But something that I've been working on just this past month, and with it being the new year energy, is just really focusing on my energy and making sure that I'm good. And I've got these, energetic barriers, like no one's getting through here. So I can stay positive and I can have faith that everything is going to work out, because everything will always work out one way or another.
Absolutely, 100%. So perfect. We'll end on that. Maria, thank you. Appreciate your time. Everyone on the call, thank you guys for getting on. I'm sure you guys know how to get in touch with Maria. If you have any questions, I'm sure she's open to answering anything if you didn't want to ask it here. And if not, you can get with me and I'll get with her and we'll take it from there. So other than that, let's wrap it up and call it a day. Get back to work. If you guys need anything, call us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you both.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Very